Let me welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, to the official launch of the Nigerian Long-Term Low-Emission Development Strategy, a journey that took more than a year and is now going to be culminating in the official launch of the strategy. I would like to again welcome His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, GCON, ably represented by the Minister for Aviation and Aerospace, Honorable Minister Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. To get us started, we will take a short opening remark from the Director, Nigerian Council on Climate Change, Dr. Salisu Dahiru, who will be represented briefly by Ms. Halima Bawabari from the NCCC. Halima, let's give her a round of applause, please. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. And I would have said bonjour, but that's where my French stops. So, firstly, I would like to apologize sincerely on behalf of my boss, Dr. Salisu Dahiru, who is on his way here representing the president in some other event. We all know how COP can be. And our profound apologies to Honorable Minister of Aviation, but being a brother that he is, he understands, and we're very thankful for that. As soon as the DG comes in, he may have a few words if we still have the time. But for the benefit of time, and time is well spent, I would like to acknowledge also the Honorable Minister of Aviation, Mr. Keyamo, and Pablo, whom I have known for very long on the NDC partnership, and the AFD representative, I hope to know more thereafter, and the 2050 pathway, Richard. We have known each other. So this journey, as Professor Chukwumerije said, started in 2021, thereabout, with what we call the long-term vision for Nigeria. And thereafter, it's followed up with the long-term strategy, which we are about to launch today. Time is well spent, and we have a very limited time. I'm not a woman for too many words, I hope. So with that being said, I just want to thank all of you for making the time, our honorable panelists and members of the audience, each and every one of you, because if you are not here, this event will not happen. And we profoundly thank His Honorable from the National Assembly, and we hope the event will be very enriching and enlightening for each and every one of you. And as I said, being like is not like, so as soon as the DG comes, he would take his place and perhaps give a few words. With that being said, I just want to welcome and thank you for coming and open the event. Thank you.
Let's appreciate her. Thank you very much, Ms. Halima Bawabari. And as she said, we've spent quite a lot of time already, so I will just introduce now the Honorable Minister for Aviation and Aerospace, Honorable Mr. Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to come and give a short keynote speech on behalf of the President. And also, you're wearing three caps, actually. You're wearing your own cap, you're wearing the cap of the Minister for Environment and the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Honorable Minister, please.
Thank you so much.
So he needs 3 rounds of applause.
So I can come there. Okay. You have to take this off.
If you see, you can stay there and talk. Okay.
When lawyers address the Supreme Court, they stand. So I'm used to standing to address my audience. Please allow me to adopt the protocols already established here. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, climate advocates, and partners in sustainable development. This speech is a speech I deliver wearing the cap of the Minister of Environment, my colleague, who is otherwise engaged somewhere. So me, I'll also, run along too once I launch this to some other engagements. But Here, I wear the cap of my colleague, not that of the president. It is an honor standing before you as the Honorable Minister of Environment for Nigeria, whom I represent here, to present a vision that transcends boundaries and paves the way for a resilient and low-carbon nation in line with Nigeria's commitment to the UN NCCC Paris Agreement. This event of the launch of Nigeria's long-term low-emission development strategy here at COP28 marks our collective commitment to a sustainable future. The long-term low-emission development strategy we unveil today is not merely a set of targets. It is a blueprint that encapsulates our dedication to balancing progress with environmental responsibility. It is a testament to Nigeria's determination to address the complex and urgent challenge of climate change whilst advocating the prosperity and well-being of our people. At the heart of this strategy lies a commitment to ambitious emission reduction targets that align with global objectives. Nigeria recognizes the need for energy transition, and this strategy charts a course towards harnessing the potential of renewable energy sources. By doing so, we strive to enhance energy efficiency, reduce carbon footprints, and contribute nationally to global effort towards combating climate change. Our approach extends beyond energy to encompass climate-resilient agriculture, and this strategy places premium on sustainable land use and agricultural practices that support food security. Importantly, Nigeria's vision for a low-emission development strategy is inseparable from the principle of inclusive economic growth. This strategy aims not just for progress, but for progress that benefits every segment of our society, leaving no one behind. It is a commitment to social equity and the creation of opportunities that resonate across our diverse nation. As Nigeria seeks to navigate this transformative journey with this low-emission development strategy, we recognize the need for collaboration between governments and the citizens, between businesses and civil society, and collaboration on the global stage. Distinguished participants, this national strategy calls for international collaboration, inviting partnerships, technology transfer, and financial support to accelerate the realization of our shared climate goals. In concluding, let me mention that this launch is not an end point, but a starting point, and a call to action for every stakeholder here present, national and international, to invest in our shared future. Together, let's walk these paths where our commitment to environmental stewardship harmonizes seamlessly with our pursuit of economic prosperity. May the launch of Nigeria's long-term low-emission development strategy be the dawn of a new era of our nation and for the world at large. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, representing Honorable Balarabe Abbas Lawal, Honorable Minister for Environment for Nigeria. I would like to recognize Honorable Tessa Ubo, Deputy Chairman, House Committee of Environment, to bring the perspective from the parliamentarians. Honorable.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you good tidings from the 10th House of Representatives of Nigeria. the Speaker of the House of Representatives in developing the 10th agenda for the National Assembly in 2023 included climate and environmental sustainability as part of our national agenda in the 10th House of Reps. And so I'm here at this event to give credence to that agenda and to reassure our partners, our friends across Africa and in the executive arm of government that the National Assembly stands committed to promote the ideals that we stand for in Nigeria when it comes to climate adaptation and mitigation. The 9th House of Representatives initiated the bill that culminated in the establishment of the National Council for Climate Change in Nigeria. And we're very proud of that achievement, and that is why we have decided that we're going to push and advance policies and the agenda for climate resilience in Nigeria. Most importantly, we are also proposing a bill to transform the council maybe into a commission so that it is properly funded by the federal government of Nigeria and it's properly funded and budgeted for by the National Assembly. And as we speak, the budget for the Ministry of Environment has been submitted to the National Assembly, and we're looking for ways that we can incorporate some of the funding needs and some of the challenges that we've observed already in terms of our efforts to make sure that the budget captures the environmental needs and the targets that we've set for ourselves as a National Assembly. I've looked through the targets set for ourselves, the long-term low-emission development strategy, and I see that it covers every sector of the country. So we just want to say we're proud of what the Council is doing so far. We're proud of what the Ministry of Environment is doing, and we're giving this reassurance that we'll continue to do even more to make sure that we achieve the goals for which we've set for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Tessa Obo, for assuring us of the commitment of the parliamentarians to support the LTS and the implementation of it thereof. Thank you. I would now like to bring on the podium the Global Director of the NDC Partnership, Mr. Pablo Vieira. Please. Can we recognize him with a short applause? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Aviation and Aerospace, dear Halima, distinguished guests, colleagues. Congratulations. It is an honor to join today the launch of Nigeria's long-term low-emissions development strategy, a strategic milestone for translating the pledge that Nigeria had at COP28 in Glasgow to achieve net zero by 2060. This is a vehicle for the transformation of Nigeria's economy and society. Today, we are witnessing Nigeria's commitment to become an international model in transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a net zero climate-resilient society through a comprehensive set of measures, including innovative efforts to develop non-oil revenues and a focus on mobilizing investment to accelerate the transition in critical areas like infrastructure and power. The NDC partnership commends our focal points, the National Council on Climate Change and the Ministry of Finance, for their leadership in this process and their commitment to working closely with other sectoral ministries, subnational governments, and non-state actors in driving Nigeria's transition together. The partnership is proud to have supported Nigeria in building a strong foundation for the delivery of its midterm targets embodied in its NDC, and its long-term goals reflected in the strategy that is being launched today. So far, members of the partnership have collectively supported the updating of Nigeria's NDC, rated more ambitious and inclusive, and submitted to the UNFCCC in July of 2021, with support from UNDP, IRENA, WRI, FAO, the Islamic Development Bank, the African Development Bank, the EU, AFD, UK, amongst others. Also, with support from the UK, Nigeria aligned the updated NDC with its long-term strategy and its energy transition plan to ensure policy coherence and coordination. Also, with UK support, The government is now translating the updated NTC into a costed online NDC implementation framework that will serve as the national tool to plan and implement climate action across sectors, coordinate NDC implementation, mobilize support, and facilitate reporting across state and non-state actors. Germany is currently supporting a net zero investment plan to mobilize more resources for the updated NDC and the long-term strategy. And 2 technical advisors are being deployed to coordinate NDC implementation efforts. And 2 more climate finance advisors will be deployed in very little time. Lastly, please allow me to recognize our members that are supporting the long-term strategy we have launched today. Thank you very much. Especially, I want to recognize 2050 Pathways Platform and the French Development Agency, together with other institutions like Nature Eco Capital, the Center of Climate Change and Development at Alex Ekweme Federal University, and the Institute for Sustainable Development and International Relationships. As Nigeria finalizes its long-term strategy and its midterm NDC implementation framework, we expect Nigeria to identify new areas of support. The NDC partnership stands ready to continue mobilizing our members to support Nigeria's vision and priorities. We call on our members to continue to provide support in a coordinated manner. By acting together, we achieve more. Thank you very much. And again, congratulations.
Thank you, Pablo, for your warm words. Really deeply appreciated. And I'm sure the Nigerian government is very grateful for the support that the NDC partnership renders to it in pursuit of its long-term low-emission development strategy. I would like to now invite Ms. Mathilda Bon-Lawrence, the head, Climate and Nature in the French Development Agency, AFD, and the AFD also played a major role in crafting the LTS, and I'm sure that she will speak into that. Mathilda.
I'm not sure if I talk.
You can come over here.
No, I come here.
And while we're trying to unwire Mathilda, I would like to recognize the presence of Dr. Salisu Dahiru, the Director, National Council on Climate Change. And may I welcome you to the podium, please? May I invite you?
Take my chair. Please,
Over there.
have my seat.
And we'll get another one. Why are you
No,
speaking?
I will go downstairs. No, thank you very much, Honorable Minister, Director, Professor Okereke. I will not repeat too much Pablo's statements, which have been already very comprehensive and true to what I also feel today. I'm simply very honored to be invited to participate in this important moment when you are officially launching this long-term strategy, knowing, of course, the importance of the commitment of Nigeria and the importance of the trajectory, the development trajectory of Nigeria for the Africa continent and for climate in general. You know how important long-term low-emission development strategies are to the implementation of the Paris Agreement. They are expected to guide short-term targets, such as the NDCs. They are also expected to support public policies to put in place to achieve low carbon and resilient development. But maybe taking a step back, as a development finance institution representative here, you may also know that the French development took the commitment to be fully aligned with the Paris Agreement. What does it mean for a bank like us to be fully aligned? It means simply supporting your countries into the implementation of your vision, and therefore the creation, the definition of those long-term low-emission development strategy should form the basis of our common work. This is why AFD has been devoting specific means and tools to support the development of long-term low-emission development strategy around the world. We have been developing and supporting through our 2050 facility more than 20 countries in this work, a number of them with the support and the collaboration of the French Institute IDRI, who is also present here through the Deep Decarbonation Pathway initiative. We have started working on the Nigeria LTS in 2020, as it was said already, with Professor Okereke, AE Funai University. And we are very happy and very proud to see this part of the work now being launched in this event today. Of course, AFD will remain, AFD and our subsidiary Proparco will remain alongside the Nigeria government and the Nigerian partners to deliver on what is incorporated into this long-term strategy, on all the investments that you will need to do it. We remain by your side. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Matilda Bon-Laurence. That's a very warm word. I hope we recorded it. The French Development Agency says that they will remain by our side as we seek to implement the LTS. And when a banker says he will remain by your side, you can go and have coffee. I would like to recognize Engineer Gbenga Komalafe, OFR, Chief Executive, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. Can you give us a wave so we can know you're here? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now I would like to bring to the podium Richard Barron, the Executive Director of the 2050 Pathway, to give his remarks.
Thank you very much, and it's a delight to be with you today. It's a very important milestone for Nigeria's long-term development towards a more climate resilient and a net zero economy. I am Richard Barron, the Executive Director of the 2050 Pathways Platform. We're a multi-stakeholder initiative that was brought together around COP28 with a view to actually support countries in the elaboration of such long-term strategies. And Nigeria was a member among 37 other countries of the 2050 Pathways Platform from the very beginning. Ever since we committed to support Nigeria in this effort, we have had the chance to work with the Federal Ministry of Environment and then with the National Climate Change Council in support for what was a first step, which was the long-term vision that was submitted as a long-term strategy for Nigeria to the NCCC a couple of years ago, and ever since in making sure that this was transformed into the document that you have in front of you today, and that's going to be submitted to the UNFCCC. It's been a delight to accompany you all along this journey. It was a process that was not done with just a handful of participants from Nigeria, but in fact by a broad group and supported by very able partners. I'd like to recognize on this the DDP Nigeria team, which was led by Professor Okereke, with the support of the DDP team in France, IDRI. We have Henri Weissman here and others. Dr. Itua from Natural Eco Capital and his team that we've worked with for many, many years now to support this work. But also the partners that have accompanied and supported this financially and otherwise. The NCCC, who brought us together around the time where the NDC was being updated. Pablo Vieira is with us here today. The French Development Agency, who's been supporting the DDP Nigeria work, of course, and others who were actually involved in this work through an extensive set of consultations with technical groups, a steering committee that met a number of times to actually ensure that the work that was being done was in sync with many stakeholders' aspirations for this work. I think it's important to recognize the road that was traveled. We started out with this idea of a vision that we did not want to quantify too early. And then the president of Nigeria set the tone by saying that it was for Nigeria to take responsibility to bring its emissions to net zero by 2060. And since then, modelers and economists and experts have worked relentlessly to try to deliver a long-term trajectory that could actually achieve this by 2060. So we're now standing in front of a document that actually shows how this might be done. And not just that, but shows some of the implications for land use, some of the implications for society as a whole. So let me stop here, but to recognize that it's been a privilege to work with the very able teams that were gathered for this work and that we had the pleasure to support some of you in this room here today, and congratulate Nigeria once more for this very important step towards low-carbon development. And before closing, I'd like to recognize also my team at the 2050 Pathways Platform, Mikkel Sameri here, but also earlier Dana Shran, who's not with us today, but all the people that were involved to do this work, the very extensive DDP Nigeria team and Natural Eco Capital. Again, thank you very much, distinguished delegates, Minister, and National Climate Change Council.
Thank you, Richard Barron, Executive Director, 2050 Pathway Platform. I think that yours is a great example of how to support and partner with developing countries, and Nigeria especially. Thank you for your consistent support. And I will now, at this juncture, hand over to my co-facilitator, Dr. Eugene Itua, to take us to the end of the program. Thank you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, just to quickly say that from our partners and indeed from the minister, you've heard all the beautiful information. What will be the next thing? There is need to implement this beautiful piece of work. And it's been alluded to. But how do we get this done? One of the things that you have embedded in the report is the carbon element of it. And we all continue to talk about carbon credits. But then, how do we take the very first step? Looking at the landscape, for instance, a pilot project that we can start with. I'd like to call very briefly on Morakiyo Tunde to just say one thing, and then Robbie, would you want to come along? Just a minute, please.
Tunde, over to you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to announce a partnership which has just been signed between the NCCC, African Nature Investors, ANI, and the Africa Carbon Partnership. We recently signed an agreement to develop voluntary carbon projects in Nigeria together, and we are developing two projects to begin with, the Gashaka Gumti Carbon Project and the Okomu National Park Carbon Project. These projects together will protect about 700,000 hectares of forest and will generate about 10 million carbon credits. The first project, which is the Gashaka Gumti Carbon Project, is set in Taraba and Adamawa states right on the border with Cameroon. It has an amazing habitat, protecting West Africa's largest population of chimpanzees, but also 500 species of birds. But more importantly, it will help to develop the livelihoods of the communities that live all around the park and lift up that region of Nigeria. So we are really, really optimistic that this project will become a pilot for the development of many other voluntary carbon projects in Nigeria and help Nigeria on its roadmap towards implementing the scheme that we've been talking about today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And again, still talking about how we can implement this. I'd like to call on Amudi Chioma to quickly say something. He's the DEX officer on this at the NCCC side. Please, just a few.
Thank you very much, Dr. Iji. I just want to highlight the possible needs of implementing Nigeria's LTS. So this is the overview of the LTS that is developed, and the scenarios are the business as usual, the current policy scenarios, and the gas economy scenarios, and the renewable energy scenarios. So the needs to implement the long-term low-emission development strategies for Nigeria, we need a couple of other things. This policy framework, stakeholder engagement, capacity building, financial resources, technology transfer, data and monitoring system, policy coherence, public awareness and education, adaptation measures, legal framework, and international cooperation and inclusive decision-making. So basically, in the issues of policy, we need to establish a framework that supports the transition of low-carbon development, and which involves creating, updating existing policies. The stakeholder engagement, we need to engage with larger stakeholders stakeholders, just like we did when we were formulating the LTS-led. What we did was to go sub-national inputs, the private sector, the MDAs, and also the CSOs. The next one is capacity building. We need to also build the capacities of those people who are responsible to implement the NDCs, the LTS-leds, as well as the NDCs. So we also need finance. The finance is domestic financing and also international finance. We need technology transfer. We need data monitoring, reporting, and we also need policy coherence. We need public awareness and also need adaptation measures, legal framework, and the last one, international cooperation and inclusive in all decision makers of the high level. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for that, Chairman. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the highlight of this very occasion is the launching of this very beautiful piece of work. I would like to call on the Honorable Minister, please.
Thank you. Nigeria has shown a great commitment to the total transition from fossil fuel to low emission fuels across all sectors of Nigerian economy. And so to push that forward, Nigeria has developed Nigeria's long-term low-emission development strategy. And I have the pleasure and privilege today to launch this document that is a testament to Nigeria's commitment towards this goal. My pleasure and privilege to launch it. Thank you.
May I now invite the Director General of the National Council on Climate Change, Dr. Salisu Dahiru, to make the closing remarks.
Hello. Good evening. First, let me just quickly apologize. I was given multiple tasks and multiple representations, of which the Honorable Minister for Aviation is aware of some of them. So he has given me permission to come late. Secondly, I want to thank the Honorable Minister for Aviation. Please, you are too tall. You are preventing my... Good. Even though the Honorable Minister was also tall, but this microphone was even too short for him. But that is to tell you how large his heart has been, because we invited him for this function. He willingly agreed to come and represent the President, represent the Minister of Environment, and represent every lover of the climate and every lover of the National Council on Climate Change. Sir, I want to say a very big thank you for this honor. Secondly, sir, this long-term low emissions development strategy is a product of several months of work. And it also represents one way of showing how government, successive governments at different times and with different institutional arrangements can come and work together to deliver one document for Nigeria. This project began with the Department of Climate Change in the Ministry of Environment. And when we had the transition to the National Council took it up, and the sponsors, the financiers, those that provided the technical support and assistance for this project, the 2050 pathway, made sure that there was no break in transmission at all from the beginning till this project was delivered. I want to say a very big thank you to the 2050 pathway. Honorable Minister, sir, you are here as a father of this document. I want to place it on record that the National Council on Climate Change has been working very hard under very, very peculiar circumstances. This is one of the major achievements that the Council has been able to deliver for Nigeria. But, sir, we are doing this simply based on the goodwill that we've been enjoying, that we've been getting from multilateral bodies and other development partners. And this is one of such examples. Virtually nothing from the budget has been part of this. But we are proud because government has invested in the people that worked with 2050 pathways. Government has also invested in creating the enabling environment for 2050 pathway to partner with Nigeria. And we look forward to more of this. I want to say this to the 2050 pathway and any other multilateral organization that is here. Having this project or this document in place, believe me sincerely, it's just the beginning of the journey. It is nothing but the beginning of the journey. There remains two very key aspects. One is to develop the investment plan for all the projects that will be harvested from this document. Number two, it is also to attract and mobilize the required funding that is needed to finance those activities and ensure that they are implemented. This is needed if we review or if we recall the statement by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu when he delivered the budget 2024, where the issue of COP28 featured very prominently, and he gave marching orders to the Ministry of Environment and the National Council on Climate Change to come to COP28 and mobilize as much climate finance as possible. We are emphasizing this, and we are also calling on 2050 pathways and our other highly dependable partners to come again, work with Nigeria. By COP29, the Honorable Minister for Aviation, who is also interested in decarbonizing Nigeria's aviation sector, will be here to launch the funding arrangements that we've gotten for the implementation of LT-LEDs. I want to thank everybody for all his efforts, and we look forward to working with you, collaborating with you, and ensuring that this document does not rest on anybody's shelf. Not that of 2050 pathways, not that of the National Council on Climate Change, and not even that of UNFCCC, but as a living document that can transform our journey towards net zero. Thank you, and God bless.
Our distinguished DG, thank you very much for that eloquent speech. And ladies and gentlemen, just to say that we have come to the end of this very beautiful session of the launch of this very document. Thank you very much. And of course, AFD that assisted in the technical aspect of it, and the NDC partnership that will continue to support us in implementation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, our Honorable Minister. Thank you.